Have you ever sent a text and then stared at your phone, waiting for a reply that never comes? Or worse, you get a dry, one-word answer and instantly regret even texting at all. You're not alone. In fact, what you say and how you say it can literally be the difference between sparking emotional connection or leaving someone emotionally checked out. And here's the thing most people don't realize: words stick, especially the ones we send when someone's not expecting it. A well-timed, emotionally charged message can melt even the most guarded heart. It's not about being overly romantic or trying too hard. It's about speaking to what he feels, not just what he hears. So if you're wondering, how do I make a guy feel genuinely seen, appreciated, and emotionally connected to me just through text? You're in the right place, because in this video, I'm breaking down 5 powerful texts that do exactly that. These aren't generic good morning messages or cookie-cutter compliments. These are the kinds of texts that stay in his mind, make him smile at his screen, and think of you long after. If you've ever wanted to leave a lasting impression without chasing, over-texting, or guessing what to say, let's dive in. When it comes to texting, men and women often approach communication from very different emotional angles. While many women use texting to connect, express, and build intimacy, a lot of men see it more functionally as a tool to check in, make plans, or solve problems. But here's the key: when the right emotional cue is triggered, texting suddenly becomes personal, meaningful, and unforgettable, even for the most emotionally reserved guy. Most men aren't naturally taught to express their feelings through words. That's why when they do receive a text that touches on something deeper, admiration, appreciation, emotional safety, it hits differently. It stands out. It lingers. What makes a man's heart melt isn't necessarily poetic language or grand declarations. It's subtle affirmation. It's when he feels understood without needing to explain himself. When he reads your message and thinks, wow, she gets me. That emotional recognition builds trust. And trust is what opens the door to deeper attraction. Men also respond strongly to timing and tone. A short, sincere message at just the right moment can have 10x more impact than a long paragraph sent out of desperation. That's because most guys aren't analyzing every word. They're reacting to how your message makes them feel: calm, seen, respected, desired. And let's not forget, men are biologically wired to pursue, to protect, and to provide. When your texts subtly play into that, when they affirm his value without stroking his ego, he naturally leans in. He wants to give more, share more, connect more. So when crafting a message, ask yourself, is this just filling space, or is it making him feel something? Because emotions are what make texts memorable. And when a man emotionally connects with your words, even over a screen, it lays the foundation for something real. Up next, I'll show you the exact kind of text that taps into this psychology and makes a man feel like he's the only one on your mind. Let's go. Let's talk about the kind of compliment that actually catches a man off guard in the best possible way. I call it the unexpected compliment, and it's way more powerful than just telling him he's handsome or that you like his smile. Why? Because those compliments, while sweet, are expected. They're surface level. Most guys have heard them before, and as nice as they are, they don't really stick, at least not emotionally. But when you go deeper, when you notice something about who he is, not just how he looks, that's when the impact hits differently. For example, let's say you text him something like, "I really admire how calm you stay under pressure. It's rare, and honestly, kind of sexy." Now pause for a second. Think about that. You didn't compliment his appearance. You didn't inflate his ego. You pointed out a trait that he might not even realize you noticed: his ability to stay grounded when life gets chaotic. That kind of compliment not only flatters him, it validates who he is. It says, "I see you," and that is powerful. This kind of message creates a ripple effect. Why? Because men, even the confident ones, don't often get emotional or character-based validation. Society doesn't usually teach men to crave that kind of feedback. But trust me, when they get it, it lands. The best part? It doesn't feel manipulative or strategic. It feels real, genuine. And that authenticity makes it even more effective. Another example: Try something like, "The way you talked about your goals the other day, it really inspired me. I love how driven you are. It's contagious." Again, you're not just giving him a cookie-cutter compliment. You're reinforcing something deeper: his ambition, his passion, his values. These are the things men want to be seen for, but rarely are. Now here's where the magic happens. These kinds of texts often prompt more vulnerability in return. When a man feels emotionally safe, when he feels appreciated for more than what he does or how he looks, he begins to open up. He starts sharing more, texting back more thoughtfully, engaging more deeply. All from one well-placed compliment. And don't worry, you don't have to overdo it. The key to this kind of message is subtlety and sincerity. It works best when it's unexpected. When you drop it into a casual conversation, not when you're trying to flatter him, but when you genuinely mean it. So the next time you're texting him, skip the "you looked cute today" and go with something he's not used to hearing. Something that shows you're really paying attention. Because when you compliment a man on something that matters to him, you immediately stand out from every other conversation he's having. And that's how you stay on his mind. Let's move on to text 2. One that's playful, light, and creates a spark he won't see coming. Sometimes the most powerful texts are the ones that seem the simplest. And this one, the flirty "just thinking about you," is a perfect example. It's short, effortless, and yet it sparks curiosity, attraction, and a little dose of emotional dopamine in a man's brain. Why does it work so well? Because it makes him feel missed without you actually saying, "I miss you." It's soft, subtle, and leaves room for imagination. That mystery, the emotional space you create when you say less but mean more, is what makes it so compelling. Now, when you send this kind of message, it's not about being clingy or trying to get his attention. It's about creating a spark, a little moment in his day where his mind shifts from whatever he's doing straight to you. Imagine this: he's in the middle of a long day, buried in work, or running around with things on his plate. Then out of nowhere, he gets your message that simply says, "Was just thinking about you. Hope your day's going okay." No big setup, no neediness, just a sweet reminder that he's on your mind. And you know what he thinks when he reads that? He thinks, "Why is she thinking about me?" Followed immediately by, "I kinda love that she is." Here's the thing. Men don't often get texts like this unless they're already deep in a relationship. So when it comes from someone he's still getting to know or newly connecting with, it hits different. It feels warm, personal, almost like you opened a window into your world for just a second and he was in it. Want to take it up a notch? Add a little playful detail like random thought, "The way you smiled the other night. Yeah, still thinking about it." Boom. You just combined flirtation with personal recall. Now he's not only feeling the warmth of your attention, he's replaying that moment in his head. That kind of message doesn't just make him smile, it keeps him thinking about you long after he's read it. Or if you want to go really subtle, "Can't lie, something reminded me of you just now." That's all. See how light that is? It creates curiosity. It's flirty without being forward, and that's the key. You want to invite him in, not chase him down. These types of texts are so powerful because they say, "You're on my mind," without needing a reply, but almost always getting one. It's emotional intimacy in just a few words. Coming up next is text 3, and this one is all about admiration and emotional validation that goes straight to his core. Let's keep going. This next one might seem simple, but don't underestimate its power. It's the "proud of you" message. And when it's genuine, it can melt a man's heart in ways you probably wouldn't expect. Most men go through life trying to prove themselves to the world, to their peers, to themselves. There's this quiet pressure so many guys feel to be strong, capable, driven, dependable. But here's what most people miss. Beneath all that effort, there's a very real need to feel seen and validated for it. That's where the "proud of you" message comes in. When a man hears those words, especially from a woman he respects or cares about, it hits differently. It doesn't just compliment what he's done, it affirms who he is. It tells him that all the hard work, all the silent effort, all the pressure he carries, it's noticed, it matters. Let's say he just got through a tough week at work, or he told you about a challenge he was dealing with. Or maybe he finally hit a goal he's been working toward quietly. You don't need a big speech. All it takes is a message like, "I know you've been pushing through a lot lately, and I just want you to know I'm really proud of you." Seriously, that kind of message goes straight to the heart. Why? Because it tells him you're paying attention, that you're not just interested in the good times or the surface level stuff. You're noticing the effort, and that kind of emotional support is rare and unforgettable. You could also say something like, "You're killing it lately. I hope you know that. I'm proud of you even if you don't say much about it." That version gives him room to be private or humble, but still shows that you see him, even in the silence. And if you're in a newer connection or just starting to date, this still works beautifully. You just dial it down a little. Maybe say, "You seem really driven. I admire that. Not everyone's like that these days." You're still expressing admiration, but in a way that feels natural and unforced. The key here is sincerity. Men can sense when praise is performative versus when it's real. So when you say you're proud of him, mean it. Let it come from a place of emotional awareness, not flattery, because here's the truth. A woman who knows how to speak to a man's spirit, not just his ego, becomes unforgettable. And the "proud of you" text, that's one of the most underrated ways to do exactly that. Coming up next, we're getting a little more vulnerable, with a text that opens emotional doors most people are afraid to walk through. Let's go there. There's something about late at night that makes people more open. The distractions fade, the world quiets down, and suddenly you're alone with your thoughts. That's why this next text, the late night vulnerable message, is so powerful. It speaks to that exact moment, when his guard is down and he's more in tune with what he feels than what he thinks. This isn't a text you send in the middle of a busy day. It's not meant for small talk or playful banter. This is the kind of message you send when you're feeling a little open, maybe even a little scared to say it, but you know it's real. And that's exactly why it works. It could be something as simple as, "It's late, and I should probably be asleep, but I just wanted to say I really like talking to you. You make me feel something I haven't felt in a long time." That's not over the top. It's not a confession. It's just honest. And that honesty, especially late at night, cuts through the noise in a way no perfectly crafted flirty text ever could. Or maybe, "I don't usually open up this easily, but there's something about you that makes it feel safe. Just wanted you to know that." Do you feel the energy in that? It's raw, it's unguarded, and most importantly, it invites him into a deeper emotional space, without pushing or expecting anything in return. Men aren't always given permission to be emotionally vulnerable, but when a woman leads with that kind of quiet openness, it encourages him to do the same. It tells him, "Hey, I trust you with this little piece of me." And more often than not, that trust is met with connection. The late night vulnerable text is also powerful because of timing. After dark, our emotional defenses are lower. We're less analytical, less distracted, and more willing to feel. So when your message arrives in that soft space, it lands with more weight, it sticks. But here's a tip: keep it real, not rehearsed. Vulnerability isn't about writing the perfect message, it's about being a little brave, saying something you mean, even if your voice shakes a little. And no, you don't have to pour your heart out. Even a message like, "It's weird, but I feel really comfortable with you. Just thought I'd say that before I crash for the night." That's enough. It plants a seed. It tells him that this connection isn't just surface level, it's starting to matter. These are the kinds of messages he'll remember, not because they're fancy, but because they were real. And sometimes, real is rare. Next up, we're dialing in on a text that takes everything you've built so far and deepens it even further. It's the emotional hook, and it's one he'll never forget. This final text is where everything comes together. The emotional connection, the comfort, the chemistry, it all leads to this. I call it the deep emotional hook, because it does exactly that. It taps into a man's emotional core and leaves an imprint he doesn't forget. This isn't about being overly dramatic or pouring your heart out. It's about expressing something real, something that reveals your depth, your self-awareness, and most importantly, the way he makes you feel on an emotional level. Because here's the truth: men remember how you made them feel more than anything else. And when you can put that feeling into words, even just one sentence, it becomes a moment he'll play over in his mind. A great example of this kind of message is something like, I don't know what this is yet, but I feel something with you that I haven't felt in a long time, and it kind of scares me in the best way. That hits hard because it's honest. It shows vulnerability, but also strength. It says, I'm not trying to control this, I'm just letting you know this connection means something to me. And believe me, when a man feels that he's impacting you emotionally in a deep way, it lights something up in him. It creates a bond. Or try this. There's just something about you that makes me feel calm, even when I don't realize I need it. It's rare, and I don't take it for granted. Again, this is personal, specific. It tells him he's doing something right just by being who he is, and that you're paying attention. That sense of emotional safety, that's what creates long-term connection. You can even keep it incredibly simple and still make a huge impact. I don't say this lightly, but I feel like I can truly be myself with you. That means more to me than you probably know. It's not about romantic declarations. It's about emotional recognition. You're letting him know that his presence in your life has meaning. And that message, that sense of emotional value, is the hook. The deep emotional anchor that keeps him connected to you, not just because he's attracted to you, but because you see him. When you send a message like this, don't follow it up with over-explaining. Let it breathe. Let it sit in his mind, because it will. These are the texts that make him replay conversations. They make him smile when he thinks of you, and they make him start to see you as someone he doesn't want to lose. The deep emotional hook isn't about getting a reply. It's about creating a moment, a shift, a space where emotional intimacy begins to grow, naturally, powerfully, and authentically. And that's how you stop being just another conversation and start becoming unforgettable. All right, let's do a quick recap before you head off to send those heart-melting texts. We've covered 5 powerful messages that can shift the emotional energy between you and a man in a way that feels effortless, natural, and deeply personal. First, we started with the unexpected compliment, the kind of message that catches him off guard because it speaks to who he is, not just how he looks. Then we moved into the flirty just thinking about you text, which is light, playful, and creates emotional warmth without being overbearing. Next, the proud of you message, one of the most underrated forms of connection. It shows support, admiration, and quiet emotional intimacy. Then came the late night vulnerable text, where you let your guard down just enough to show him there's something real growing here. And finally, the deep emotional hook, where you communicate your felt experience of the connection, the moment that lingers in his heart, long after the conversation ends. These aren't random text ideas, they're tools, and when used intentionally, they create real emotional engagement, the kind that pulls someone closer instead of pushing them away. But before you grab your phone, let's talk do's and don'ts, because timing and intention matter just as much as the words themselves. Do be genuine. A heartfelt text only works if it's you talking, not a line you think you're supposed to say. You don't need to copy these word for word. Make them your own. Let your personality come through. Don't text to get a reaction. If you're only sending a message hoping he'll text back immediately or tell you what you want to hear, it can create tension or come off as emotionally needy. Send the message because it's true, not because you're waiting for validation. Do choose your moment. Late at night, after a meaningful conversation, or after he's achieved something, those are great times to send a deeper message. It'll land more naturally, and it'll feel like an extension of the connection, not something forced. Don't overdo it. Emotional texts lose power if they're sent too often. They become expected. Use these moments sparingly, when it truly feels right. That's when they're unforgettable. Do give space. Let the message breathe. You don't need to double text. Ask if he saw it, or follow it up with 5 more heart emojis. Trust that what you said was enough. The most magnetic energy in texting isn't about chasing. It's about confidence, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. When you combine all 3, you're not just someone he chats with, you become someone he feels connected to. So now the ball's in your court. Choose one of these texts, make it your own, and watch what happens when you speak from a place of intention and emotion. Coming up, final thoughts and one bonus tip that takes your texting game to an entirely new level. Let's finish strong. So here we are, the end of the video, but honestly, this could be the beginning of something really meaningful for you. Because if there's one thing I hope you take away from all of this, It's that the way you communicate matters more than you think. Every message you send has the power to either pull someone closer or push them away. And it's not about saying the perfect thing, it's about saying the real thing. When your text reflects sincerity, emotional awareness, and confidence, they become more than just words on a screen. They become moments. They become memory triggers. They become connection. Whether you're just getting to know someone or you're already in a relationship, these 5 texts give you something most people overlook: emotional depth. And emotional depth is what separates short-term interest from lasting attraction. But before we wrap, I want to leave you with one bonus tip, and this one's important. Sometimes the most powerful text is the one you don't send right away. Here's what I mean. Take a second before you hit send. Ask yourself, is this message adding value to the connection? Am I texting to express or just to get a reaction? When you pause, even for a moment, you shift the energy from reactive to intentional. And that's where emotional power lives. That pause helps you lead with maturity, with clarity, and with self-respect. And trust me, that energy is magnetic. Also, don't be afraid of silence. If he doesn't reply right away, don't panic. Don't assume the worst. Sometimes the strongest play is to say your piece and let him feel it without the pressure of an instant reply. People process emotionally at different speeds, especially when the message hits deep. Now, one more bonus tip that can really take your connection to the next level. Use voice notes. Yep, sometimes the sound of your voice carries more emotion than any emoji or perfectly typed sentence. If you're comfortable, a quick voice message saying one of these lines, even something simple like, "Hey, just thinking about you, hope your day's been good," can amplify the emotion tenfold. It feels more personal, more human. And honestly, it's a little bold, and bold is attractive. So whether you're sending a playful text, a deep compliment, or something vulnerable, remember this: you don't have to overthink it. You just have to mean it. Because when you speak from the heart, even in a short message, the right person feels it. They remember it. And that's how emotional connection begins to build. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs a little help in their texting game. And if you've got a go-to message that always gets a smile or sparks a real conversation, drop it in the comments. I'd love to see it. You've got this. Keep texting with heart.